The answer to this puzzle is nothing short of stunning. Pause the video here, look at this position and tell what's the best move for black. A move that's so counterintuitive, but yet possible. A move that seals the deal for black. A move that just finishes the game then and there. Pause the video, think about what that move could be. Alright, welcome back. I hope you were able to spend some quality time trying to solve this puzzle and trying to find that impossible counterintuitive move. I'll tell you the answer, and today's video is not about the answer to that. Today's video is to search how does somebody come up with a move like that? What is the process that leads them to that place? How does a grandmaster's brain work to be able to solve this puzzle, to be able to think about the best move here? The answer is rook d2. Rook d2 is the answer. As I said, it's very, very unintuitive. It's a move, it's a sacrifice, which usually sacrifices are when you capture something. This is just sacrifice by going to an empty square. And it's more like a dare, right? And what can white do here? What is even possible? What kind of response is even there? But to understand this, we have to go back and analyze the position first, because unless you analyze the position, you really can't get to it. So the first thing that you should notice is that if it were white's turn, it's almost game over, because rook takes rook check, bishop is forced to come back here, and you lost the rook. Maybe not game over, right? Like the game continues, maybe then you exchange this one out, but that's a little risky because now you notice that there's a checkmate waiting to happen. Bishop is the one stopping it. So interesting. So now let's look at what are the threats that black has. This is definitely one checkmate pattern. But who's stopping it? The rook and the bishop. Right? The rook and the bishop both are preventing this from giving a check. What about this check? This is also a really good check because if king moves, then it's checkmate. But who's stopping it? The bishop. So as you can see, bishop is controlling a very key f3 square. The rook and the bishop are both controlling the f1 square. Now, what about some level of deflection? For example, if rook takes rook, bishop goes off, then there's checkmate. But bishop need not go off, knight can take it. So you could say, okay, let me start with bishop takes knight, but that's a bad idea because rook takes rook check and mate. And also, finally, you should always remember that rook takes rook can also be followed with queen takes and then preventing all of this. So, in other words, the analysis of the position says that it's equally poised. You roughly have the same number of pawns, same number of minor pieces, one rook each, one queen each. So materially it's equal. Positionally, black seems to be more attacking. And the real change comes because there are a lot of threats. Black does have a lot of threats for checkmate, but those threats are neutralized by a decent defense position. But it's very precarious, as you can imagine. It's like, a lot of connections, right? Every piece is doing some job of preventing a checkmate. And if that piece were to disappear, deflect, get attracted somewhere else, removed by some combination, then that's checkmate. So that is your core idea. That's the thought process that you need to be a chess master, to be a grandmaster. Start thinking in terms of how does this position enable black to win? This position enables because the defense is not very strong. It's not sturdy. A lot of possibilities exist first. At least two checkmate possibilities exist first. And both of these are stopped due to the pieces that's defending, and that's traditional chess. But where it kind of goes awry is that if you can find some combination of moves that will force white to do something about it. So where does rook d2 come here? I know that this is possible, but how does rook d2 come here? So one of the ideas could be like, okay, let me attack the bishop. Because if I attack the bishop and capture the bishop, then that allows me to kind of finish the checkmate. So one way to attack could be this. What are the other options? So for example, if I do this right away, then this checkmate is not possible and this entire thing goes for a toss. So a rook d2 ensures that I continue to have a threat. So in other words, if you think about it, this is nothing but a very, very a zugzwang way of thinking about chess, which is to basically see that how do I prevent him from doing something. For example, how do I prevent him from doing this rook takes rook? How do I prevent him from taking bishop takes bishop? So the whole idea of bishop takes bishop will never happen if there were a threat of a checkmate. The whole idea of rook to d8 will never happen if there is a blockage in between. So this is the way you start thinking about the game, and you say, okay, these are wonderful ideas that I can apply, right? So, but still, what is the move? How do I distract him? So I could say, okay, let me move the rook here. Would that be distracting him? Absolutely. Rook takes rook, but that could mean bishop check after that, and bishop is forced to do it and then do it. So now you can understand the germination of this particular plan could be something like, let me move the rook here and deflect the rook, or attract the rook somewhere else. Because if I attract him somewhere else, then I have a check, and if the king moves, it's checkmate, and if the bishop moves, it's queen checkmate. So in other words, now you see that it's a two-level deflection. Usually you'd see a deflection at level 1, and that is the reason this entire study is about deflection. So usually you would have seen puzzles which have one level of deflection, but this is a two-level deflection problem, saying, okay, let me move my rook here, and if the rook gets attracted to that because it's a free rook and it's not a check, then I can basically force myself into getting a checkmate. But there's one problem with that. If I move rook to d7, white doesn't have to accept it. For example, he could decide to just sacrifice the knight. You capture it and then the whole blockage comes in. Everything is fine. And more importantly, the queen is controlling the square, because once the knight moves away, then I have no problem. You could say, okay, I could just move the knight back here. That's also possible. I could just move the knight here and I'm threatening rook takes rook. Right? Because now I don't have this particular idea. So this queen's controlling here. So let's do this. So if the rook moves here and my knight just moves back, I can't do much, because if I do that deflected check, right away queen takes it, and therefore I don't have any check. And if I first do rook takes rook, he takes it, and then I still don't have the same check. In fact, you would say, like, if he takes it to the bishop, I can checkmate him, but he can take it to the queen and prevent the checkmate. So you're in a fix. So now let's go back and say, all right, I need to attract the rook away with a threat, and that threat was rook. Because if I capture this now, then I go there. So we've already seen that. But what if I don't capture it? What is my alternative here? Right? What is the way in which I can prevent this from happening? So you can say, okay, let me move the knight back, which was the earlier one for rook d7. Problem right now is rook takes bishop, and you're threatening checkmate. A checkmate that cannot be stopped. You could say, okay, let me give a check. I'll get here and capture check, and probably one more check here, and all I have to do is just move this away, and there's nothing that can be done to stop this check. So the power lies in terms of that threat of capturing the bishop. So you say, okay, let me prevent this capture by moving something else. For example, let me move the rook here. then you're one tempo behind. Your queen is not controlling the square, so I still have the check. This takes it and it's checkmate. So what if I move my rook here to prevent this particular check? All right, interesting. So in that case, a couple of ways in which you can play this. You could do rook takes, no, not queen takes, but you could take this. Let me check. If knight takes it, it's checked. He blocks it, and it's not really checkmate, is it? So definitely I'm a piece up. But is there something better than that? Yeah, I guess I could do rook takes, this check, queen takes, he blocks, and I'm a piece up. So that still gives me the win. But is there something better than that? Is there something that I could do which would get me to a win? And the answer could be in this move. I capture the knight, he takes it back with the queen. Now I capture it again, and it's a checkmate that cannot be prevented. So, in other words, as you can see, I mean, even playing badly will lead to a material gain, but playing well with a lot of thought, like in a tournament, would definitely give you a win here. And all of that because you see the deflection that happens. But just like I've reiterated in all my previous videos, the pattern that emerges finally might have a name. You might call it blockhead, discover attack clearance, or deflection. But that is not the goal of solving the puzzle. You don't start the puzzle by saying, I'm going to go for a deflection answer here. The goal of the puzzle is still going to be to win the game. To win the game by recognizing patterns, by recognizing the concept of zugzwang, of recognizing how you can constrain your opponent's moves, how you can increase your freedom to do things. And that's when you do that long enough, moves like rook d2 will emerge. So it's not just enough to solve a lot of puzzles and tactics to get good at chess. You also have to solve it by appreciating the nuances within each puzzle. Pay attention to the pieces. Pay attention to what each and every piece is doing, every single role that's being played. For example, in this whole puzzle, the bishop here is playing a wonderful role of being able to prevent that checkmate, right? So it's not even coming into fruition, but definitely the fact that it's there and you appreciate it makes a big difference. The fact that it's attacking the knight and that is going to lead to some kind of a checkmate is something you should know how to appreciate. So it's the depth of problem solving that oftentimes you miss when you do a lot of tactics. It's the quality over the quantity, it's the depth, and that'll make a huge difference in terms of how you solve problems and how the quality of your game will improve as a result of that. I hope you found this video insightful and informative. If so, please do like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.